Hey,
Hey George, can you hear me?
hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Awesome.
Have you heard from James at all?
No, I have not. I was trying to reach him early today, but didn't get a response. Let me double check that.
All good.
Um,
I'll bootstrap the agenda page while we're waiting.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Let me try to see if I can reach out to him. Yeah, I sent him a message. But I highly doubt he'll answer.
All right.
By the way, where'd you get this link from? Is this like the general link?
Yeah, I just have it bookmarked because I don't think it's ever changed.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's the same one that's okay, I see what you mean. Because I usually go onto the wiki and go to the date, right? And then click on the link, but I'm guessing it's the same one for each each meeting.
Right, and today's wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, they are the same. All right, got it.
That's odd that today's wasn't there though.
Yep,
All right. All right, well, let's just get started then.
sure.
Cool. All right. Well, welcome to the call. Thanks for joining, Alberta, and anyone who might listen afterwards. First things first, antitrust policy notice. Cool. So yeah, I saw Alberta, you listed some items in Discord for the agenda, which I've included in here. Oh, you mentioned as well the OWS move, OWF.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to talk about after that is some of the did method stuff that I've been considering for VCX. But
Mm,
let's get into that afterwards.
okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take it away with some of the
Yeah,
updates?
well, yeah, I was kind of expecting to see if James would join because he's been primarily working on the new framework.
Yeah.
And I did see some of his updates from the last time we spoke, which I was able to just play around with it briefly.
Hmm.
But I was expecting something more concrete by this meeting because we have things pretty much resolved on a unified front. We just are waiting to see what that final form of this new framework looks like, so we can finally uh, demonstrate a small demo and just kind of FYI on what we're thinking. because the framework itself is supposed to create a connection, I believe so, an out-of-band connection.
Mm,
And what we were thinking is on the mobile demo front was to create a keep what's already existing, right? What's for example, that Android demo. Just create a secondary screen where we call the framework, right?
mm, mhm.
And then the framework, from what James has demonstrated in the past, will be able to send messages, right, to, for example, an Akapai agent,
Yep.
right? So the plan there is the secondary screen will, connect through the invitation itself, right? And then once the connection is established through the framework, then we'd be able to send messages from one agent to the other. So the plan was to make a screen within that, within the Android side of things and iOS that simulates like a chat, similar to what you see on um, Bifold, right? Just like a chat section and kind of just interact with the Akapai agent.
Mm.
Are you looking for the framework?
Yeah, no, looking for the mobile demo. You're talking about this
Yeah.
existing one.
Yeah, so the plan would be to just upgrade that demo, and right now you guys have the a few buttons there that do this, like this is obviously from the old version, right, with
Y-
Indie
Yeah.
SDK.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we can get rid of. We could talk about how we want to get rid of that, but I just figured I'll just at launch screen and just say you want to use the old one or you want to use the new framework, right? And then just
Mm.
click the new framework and then or press the new framework and then they'll take you like, okay, start connection, right? Or establish connection or open the camera and scan the QR code, right?
Yep.
And then once that's done, we can start like as a small little uh milestone, but a significant one, start interacting with an Occupy agent and send each other messages. Um, this is what I had spoken with James about, and this is the basically the plan as far as um, our idea is at right now. But like I said, we've generated a successful XC framework
Mm.
from the current project. It will just be a matter of, getting the latest update on the framework and doing the same thing there. And just going over the details, but I think we're really close to getting a good demo going here.
Mm.
But I'm gonna reach out to James, see if he needs any help to kind of because I know we were close to finish. So yeah. So basically that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, but I guess I have to talk to James about it to see where we're at with that.
Yep. Yep. No, yeah, no, all good. And on this existing demo app front, feel free to um get rid of stuff that's there that interrupts with what you're trying to do. Um,
Okay.
this was really sort of just set up as a proof of concept to show how a unified
All
call can
right.
be made in sequence. We're not realistically, we want the unify layer over the framework to be what consumers use and see. The
Mm-hmm.
unify in
Yeah.
here was a bit too low level.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Then I'll probably to remove it then. But it does serve as a good, base structure. I'll just probably end up because I think most of it is in the app demo
Hmm.
controller. That's kind
Yes,
of
right.
where, yeah. So here you guys are calling a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, I'll probably end up getting rid of all this.
Hmm.
There is some stuff that I still haven't looked into, like how a sync functions work. Like if you go, maybe we can go through this briefly, see, get your take on it.
Hmm.
If you go to the framework branch on the left side and just look for framework, and that one right there, that's the one that James has been working on. And then you go to scroll, like go to the root level, and you should find Aries-vcx framework somewhere. Do you
Oh,
know it should be a crate at the root level?
this
Do
one.
you not see? Yeah, yeah, that's the wrong, yeah. So yeah, then you go to librs, maybe, yeah. So this is what he's been working on, right?
Hmm.
So search for Aries framework VCX on this, which is kind of like the main thing, right? So you can see here
Yeah.
like this struct is taking in the configuration, the wallet, and all this good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And right here, exactly, line 65, the initialization part.
Yep.
You can see here it's in a sync, right? So what I still haven't gone through, like I'm able to create the UDL for all of this,
Mm.
which by the way, I ended up, let me put this, I'm jumping around here, sorry, but
No, all good.
before getting to that, so I kind of noticed that I was doing something wrong with the UDL files. I was trying to UDL every single line in this on this librs, which I believe that's not necessary if you're just trying to call this, right? Areas framework VCX.
Yes.
So what I ended up doing is I UDL this Areas VCX and anything derived under it. So like Areas framework VCX and the framework config,
Yeah.
right? And,
Yeah.
and the UDL is quite short, ended up quite short, right? And it was able to compile, and I'm able to access these functions or structs, or however you want to call them.
Yeah.
And just thinking, obviously this is not finished yet. I'm still waiting on James, but on line 65, this has sync. I did go through the Unify course or demo, right? The documentation,
Mm.
and I know it has an async tutorial, but just curious, and anything I should know about these asyncs and how they work on the native end on like iOS and Android? Because I'm just curious on how I might end up calling this in the long run, right? Because I'm not sure how the engine will interpret that on the Kotlin side.
Yeah, no, it comes out in Kotlin as a suspend function, right? So that's
Mm,
a
okay,
Kotlin coroutine ready async function, and it comes out pretty much exactly as you would hope. I
okay,
haven't actually
good.
tried marking async functions in a UDL file. I've done it with proc macros. Um,
Right.
I think they support it in the UDL, right? Marking async functions.
I think so. Yeah, I believe so. I would have to take a look again, but I think it's totally doable. Yeah, I think you can find something there. Yeah, it's right down there. Yep, you just gotta put the sync. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this will just spit out as, say after suspend. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then, as long as you're calling, have you done Android development before? Kotlin development?
Yes. Yeah. Well, nah, on Java, not so much on Kotlin, but I've heard of the suspend. Yes.
Okay. Um, yeah, then look, maybe this existing mobile demo is going to be a good sample.
Hmm.
Actually, let's see.
There is a few things there. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like most async frameworks where, you have to be running suspend or async functions from another suspend or async function or context. Um,
Mhm.
and you can this is like launching a task, and then inside this task you can do suspend stuff,
Right.
sync stuff. But yeah, look, Unify is
Yeah.
going to
Okay.
have a nice suspend function. It should.
Nice. Okay. That makes total sense then. We just wanted to kind of ask that briefly, make a small parentheses and kind of all this. But
Mm,
yeah, so that's the plan. Yeah, ultimately we'll end up calling the framework and doing kind of like a chat screen where we're able to send messages, right?
mm.
So that's the idea for the first demo iteration of the framework.
Yep. Yeah, cool. And yeah, you're right. Just sort of UDL the things you need. So, this is some UDL
Mm-hmm.
interface, and then this is some UDL dictionary that you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this might cause you issues because it's like an async constructor in a way. It's returning self and also in a result. But I don't know. Let's
Mm-hmm.
let's see how far
Yeah.
those can go.
Yeah. I'm playing around with it right now, actually. Yeah, that's gonna be a tricky one, but let's see what I can do with it.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's basically some of the stuff I'll probably bring up with James later on this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. I was chatting with James at the end of last week on my Friday. Um, and I think he was working on some mediator stuff. We were looking into the return route decorator, which is used sort of during connection establishment with a mediator. And that's one of its primary uses. Um, so I think he was working on that. Would that sort of match what you'd be expecting?
Will there be mediation with this framework? I mean, ultimately, I would, right? But is that expected in this small iteration? Um, because I know he was having trouble with some return, like a return route, like you're saying, but does this have to do with the mediation? Or is this just like a peer-to-peer thing?
Um, yeah, maybe it is being done fully peer-to-peer.
Okay.
The context I've seen this used mostly in is creating a connection and fetching messages from a mediator, uh,
Mm,
doing the
okay.
pickup protocol and things like that. But I do suppose you can use return route for any Aries message, I guess. Uh,
Right, because if there was like a mediation plugged into the framework, wouldn't we need to take in some sort of mediator URL to make it work?
yeah. And I'm not sure
Yeah, and
it's set up to
yeah, I
like
don't think yeah, I don't think there's anything on the actual code. That's why maybe that's part of his next iteration probably. But
yeah.
yeah, we can check with him.
Oh yeah, looks like he was onto it.
All
Mm.
right.
Yeah, he's using this a couple times in here. Cool. Cool. All right, let's get back to the agenda. Um, yeah, so your PR in review. I remember I started having a review of it, but then I sort of assumed from that call that James was having a look at it. So maybe I should just finish reviewing it. Although I imagine you'd probably still want James to have a look at this, right?
Sure, there's no rush on this. I'm just was curious. It's just some preparation stuff for what's to come. Just
Hmm.
didn't want to you know, put in a PR, a huge PR. So this is just like a small one, even though it's 74 changes.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, it's not crucial that we have to check it right away.
Okay, cool.
All right.
If you're interested in as well, we can get you added into the Hyperledger contributors list if you're not already on there, and then you can work on branches inside this repo if you want, rather than a fork.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter too much, whatever you prefer, but that'll let you do things like special CI stuff that you can only do when you're working on an inside branch. Um,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that that'd be interesting. Yep.
cool, cool. And if you ever get bored, you can have a look at trying to update this branch as well.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yep, definitely.
Because have you had this branch for, yeah, 2 months? Yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, OWF. Anything from your side? Have you been sort of watching some of the Aries Akapai waves go?
I think the last time I joined just briefly was probably last week. Not sure if they made the official move yet in terms of Akapai. But I imagine they're really close to it if they are not yet. I know we were expecting something. Who was it? Sean on our side.
Yes.
Was it Sean? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Sean Bohan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to meet with us and talk about the possible move as well. So yeah, I was gonna again ask James on an update on that and see if there's anything um there to kind of follow up on. Because I think it's I am personally very interested in that move. So yeah, it's I just wanted to follow up on that.
Yeah. 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 It'd be good to have James. There's been some calls going on recently, I think, and I think there's a call today. It's September 18, 7 a.m. Pacific time. If you're interested in going to that, it's a bit too
Oh
late for
yeah, I
me.
see. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that'll be Aries Akapai talking to
Mm-hmm.
OWF about the move. Yeah, so trying to understand what's going on here. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like, yeah, Stephen Curran's put up a bunch of pull requests proposing Akapai, ASCAR, ATH, and mediator service to get moved in. Um, and, this is a process that we would have to go through as well to put up our proposal. Um, so they're just defining through a bunch of criteria. And I think, yeah, this was linked as well, which I found interesting. And, we'll have to review over this as it gets closer to the time. But essentially, I think James mentioned this in the previous call, but, there's all these different stages for a project. And it goes from
Mm-hmm.
labs, which is, sort of experimental, to growth, which is something like Credo, I believe, is in the growth stage. And then impact is, when you're sort of an enterprise software that everyone's depending on and fairly important. So yeah, Akapai is proposing to enter into the impact stage, which is, the most serious, and
Mm-hmm.
it has different acceptance criteria for what impact is. Um, yeah, so it'll be a conversation with us later on when James is around, and we'll talk about whether we'd want to go for labs or try go for growth. Um, yeah, this will just be
Yeah.
something we need to review.
Yep. All right. Cool.
Are you guys involved with Akapai at all at Instant?
Yes, we are using that as our issuance and verification.
Okay, well, if you're interested, Stephen Curran put out a call out just saying if there's any companies interested in, attesting their support for Akapai and their usage of Akapai in production or in proof of concept pilots, then you can attest your name in here. So that was something we went ahead with.
You guys
Um,
are also on there. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, saying if you're interested.
Yep. We'll definitely add ourselves there then. Just making
Cool.
some notes. All right, cool.
Yeah, that was in the Aries Discord and also the Akapai Discord channel in Hyperledger or LF Decentralized Trust now. It officially got
Oh
renamed.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I couldn't find uh the server on Discord. I'm like, where did my Hyperledger server go? But they changed like the icon and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, where is it? And then I'm like, oh, it's this one they changed it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I freak out whenever an icon changes. Cool. So yeah, it is really good that, we have a role model who's showing us how it's done and what process it'll go through. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I won't be able to join the call that they're having. I don't know if it aligns with your time zone, but if
it
you're
will. Yeah.
there,
Yeah, I'll
uh,
be joining.
cool, cool. Well, yeah, let me know how that goes.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
Cool. Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I'm good.
Cool. So yeah, just a quick thing, what I wanted to bring up, um, is essentially, and I'm not sure if you've sort of dove into this area of the code base.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, so we have the did core, which is full of everything did related, right? So we have a did
Mm-hmm.
resolver, which has like the general trait definition for what a did resolver is, dot
Mm-hmm. Yep.
resolve. And other stuff around that defines what the structure of a did document is and what a did is. And then we have this did method section, which is essentially a crate per method we support, and
Mm-hmm.
also sort of a crate per resolver we support. Um, and so currently there's only technically two resolvers, which we have, um, which we're directly supporting in a crate form, and that's web and sov, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what these guys are doing is they're defining a implementation of the resolver, uh, yeah, for did solve. And so this will, use indie to resolve that did for did solve, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I'm getting at is I think we're lacking a bit in the resolvers that we support. And we support these two methods here, key and peer. We have crates for them, but these crates sort of just serve as utilities. It's just utilities around did keys and utilities around did peers, like generating them and stuff like that. Um,
Right.
but I think what we should be doing is creating more resolver crates for the different methods that we support. So I think one that I'll probably work on next is just defining a did resolver for did key. Since we already have all the utilities here, I don't think it'll be too hard to write up a resolver that conforms to our resolvable trait. So that's the first one I'd work on. And I think did peer as well. All the utilities are there. We're just not really
Mm-hmm.
utilizing them. Um, yeah, and I suppose some of the other major ones that come to mind did indie. Everyone's trying to move up did solve or unqualified. They're trying to move off unqualified to using did indie. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested as well in expanding this, essentially duplicating this did resolver sub and creating a did resolver indie, and letting you register different, sub sections of indie networks, since it sort of has that support for multiple
Right.
ledgers. Um, Another one as well. Have you heard much about did JWT, the method JWT?
No. I mean, yes, I've heard of it, but I haven't gotten into it too much.
Yeah, like yeah, I hadn't heard it mentioned too much. But then after playing around, I was trying to run some OpenID for VC demos to understand what's going on there. And Credo and Akapai in their demos are utilizing did JWK, JWT, sorry. Um, or is it JWK? It's probably JWK.
I see a JWT on the div. That's yeah, that one. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, is this the one they're using for OID for VC, I guess?
This might just be signing JWTs on behalf of a did rather than this is what I was referring to, the JWK method. So very similar method to did key, where it's just like a statically defined thing, I believe. Um, like a static did, you can't change the data inside of it. And it just resolves out
Mhm.
to some key in a did document. Anyway, it might be a low-hanging fruit for us to consider if we're trying to increase our scope of resolvers. And maybe
Mhm.
I should talk to some others that are using it and see if that's a permanent thing or it was just some transition maybe to something like did key, etc. Um, yeah. And just a final one, TDW, that's becoming a pretty prominent did method as well.
This
Trusted
the
web.
one.
Um, a lot of the Akapai guys, a lot of the BC guys are on this one. Um, so
Mhm.
potentially we could be one of the first to define a resolver for it, uh, which I think would be appreciated.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, um, I think whatever might be attractive, having, I guess, more options, but if we can choose ones that are attractive once we make the move, right?
Mm,
It's interesting you bring did methods up because there's another one which is quite interesting in my opinion.
mm,
It's maybe you want to look it up. It's called did method PLC. So I have to do some research on this one. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So this one I think is used by Blue Sky. Are you
mm.
familiar with Blue Sky?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So these guys, I think, if I'm not mistaken, have 10 million active users using this did.
Yeah, wow.
So, so this is a very interesting did. We're sort of, mm, and just to put some perspective into the Aries framework here, right? I feel like the Aries project is very centered around sort of identity in terms of um, like KYC, IDB, maybe even like some use cases for, let's say, supply chain. But there's some interesting things going around in the world of social media. And these blue sky people, they've really implemented this did method quite well. And it's about 10 million, more than 10 million users that are using it.
Mm,
So I think it'd be very interesting for us to kind of distinguish ourselves from the rest at the Open Wallet Foundation and actually implement this DID method. It'd be very unique on our part for Aries-vcx, in my opinion. Um, but we could definitely consider it too as part of the ones you just listed.
yeah, I hadn't heard of it, but that's pretty significant. Have you looked much into it about, how complicated it is as a method?
Well, I don't know the details yet, but I'm going to share with you. Maybe I can send it to you after.
Hmm.
Maybe I can. There's a meeting. So there's a meeting going on next week on the credential community group at the W3C,
Hmm.
and they're going to talk about all the top bid methods. Let me see if I can get that presentation. You can bring it up. And they're kind of calling out to the community and saying, "Hey, we're doing a presentation, and we want to showcase the most used bid methods out there right now." So give me 1 second. I think that. Yes. I'll paste it here in the chat. The guy that's leading it is the guy from Digital Bazaar
Hmm.
and the guys from TBD. If you're familiar with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the meeting they're gonna be um see there they're kind of covering, see, the blue sky, the PLC,
Hmm.
the key, of course, yeah. You can see the stats they're putting under it. There's a lot to consider here in terms of, I think that's the one you mentioned. Yeah. And I think this meeting is gonna go on next week. I'll share it with you, but I think they'll talk about each of those methods and maybe we can learn a little bit about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Very interesting. But yeah. Yeah. First
Yep.
slide, blue sky.
So you can see right there today over 10 million dates on Blue Sky. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. 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 There's a JWK mention.
Yep, there you go. Yep. Yeah, because that's being used, I guess, for the driver's license, and yeah, the DHS is very involved as well on some of this stuff. So that's kind of where we should target our kind of those things you're mentioning, to maybe get some eyes on it.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you see the DHS presentation they did where they sort of talked about they didn't use the word
Yes.
profile, but some other word for profile and what their sort of proposed stack is for DI.
It's interesting because I think that's was a presentation made by John O'Neill. And yes, he is calling a profile, I believe, because they're open to the stack still. It's
Mm,
like they're saying this is sort of what we want it to be,
yeah,
but we are still open to, but the sort of have an idea, like, do you want to use stuff that assimilate a lot to a non-French, which is very exciting and interesting,
yeah.
which aligns well with whatever they're doing over there in Europe as well. Um, so I think again, the Aries-vcx project is very promising in my opinion. And it's just a matter of getting some attention to it. But I think these are some of the things we should definitely consider.
Is it CCG? Is that what?
Yeah, yeah, there were three CCG. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay, yeah, much to consider. Yeah, I think for these low-hanging fruits, I think I'm just going to immediately make some GitHub issues about them and see if I can
Mhm.
get a cycle to work on them. Um,
Right.
and maybe some of these ones as well. But I really need to look into PLC and try to understand what's going on there.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Cool. Okay. Anything ad hoc from you?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool. I'm just arguing with this widget here.
Yeah, it doesn't want to
To
cooperate.
expand, but whatever. That'll do.
We get it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, nothing else from my side. So yeah, we could probably call it here.
All right. Cool, George. Thank you. Appreciate taking this call.
Cool. Yeah, no worries, and stay in touch. Look forward to the next one.
Definitely.
All right.
Same. Bye.
Thank you.